Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. This is Carol Parisi. Today, our founder, Jack Roser, and myself are talking about the Illinois pension scam book. And really, this is the cause of our Illinois pension crisis, which is the biggest problem for Illinois and why we are the most broke state. It's because of the scam and the corruption. Mr. Zettler, what are solutions for this? I mean, this got to a point of where lawmakers had an incestuous relationship with the unions.
Let me blow the horn for Mr. Zettler a little bit more. I found out, I've been pounding on this education scam, which is, you know, the larger version of what's gone on here, for about 40 years.
You've been a skunk at a picnic, right?
I've been a skunk at a picnic. When I walk into a meeting of a school board, I mean, the temperature of the room drops about 30 degrees right there. I've been a skunk at a picnic, and that's been for over 40 years. And, you know, this is just part of the running of, this is the worst administration of any organization. I couldn't possibly call the school system K-12 an enterprise, because that implies things that they definitely aren't. They are the worst run organization, it's the whole K-12 system, and the reason is the IEA union, the subdivision of the NEA, those guys have run this thing, and they're taking all that money from the teachers, and they have dominated the politics of the entire state of Illinois, is what they've done, and to the tune of about $130 million a year in dues that they have taken and poured into the politics of the state of Illinois, and they've debauched everything, including the pensions. But about 15 years or so ago, I became aware of the TRS, the Teacher Requirement System, and for various reasons I decided, since good statistics weren't available anywhere, I had to put it on our website. I had a person who was clever, and they put the whole TRS thing, the salaries and everything, so anybody could get it. The anybody that really did something is Mr. Zettler. And I still don't understand how he could do what he did, even though we published a bunch of accurate information. The state did not kid people, because that controlled the pensions, what the salaries were. But Bill has the uncanny ability to go into a mountain and come up with a pearl of wisdom. And of all those statistics, I don't know how you do it, Bill. But
how do you do it, Bill?
He's reduced it to
magic,
understandable things and conclusions. This book is astounding in what it presents and the way it presents. But Bill, I'm astounded that you and I've conveyed all I can about your expertise. Take over, please.
Okay, well, the problem with the pensions in Illinois, you have to understand this year, including bond payments, we're talking about $8 billion just for the pensions. That's out of about a $30 billion budget. So you're talking about over 25% of this year's budget, operating budget, is going to go to pay people who don't work anymore.
Last year, didn't Madigan issue $3.7 billion worth of bonds?
Right. We owe $17 billion, and we have $17 billion in pension bonds to pay. It's about $800 million a year in interest alone.
So he took us up another notch in debt of $3.7 billion.
Yes.
Just in this past year.
Yes.
So next year it's going to be what, $10 billion?
I estimate with the new rules, there's new accounting rules coming out for pensions, that in 2015 it'll be over $12 billion.
Yeah. In other words,
it'll be more than a third of the budget.
Yeah.
So how can we take care of the people who really need to be taken care of if a third of the budget is going to pay people who don't work anymore?
Incidentally,
it's impossible.
Under this Democratic administration, which controls everything in the city of Chicago, the House and the Senate and the governorship, they are paying the stinking bills on this thing that's out of control.
Oh, they get paid first.
And they got paid first, and these people lying in beds, suffering for various reasons out of their control, those bills remain unpaid.
Mentally handicapped,
they aren't
health
the
care
authors
for the
of their
seniors.
own troubles.
Right.
So they're taking from our seniors and their health care.
Sure.
They're taking from the mentally challenged folks and their
Yes.
provision, and it's going to 55-year-olds who are probably very able-bodied that can go back and get another job.
You touched something very important. I was born in 1923. Well, so I'm an old man now. Just had my 89th birthday. But my cohort is living 20 years longer than was expected when I was born. So that's 20 years more of paying pension payments. I didn't start taking mine and that's Social Security till I was 70, so I did a little bit better. But why in Tunket did they take and put the teachers and all these people in at 55 years that they should retire?
Yeah,
when they're going to
Because
last.
they could.
How
They
did
it
that
because
happen?
they could do it.
55-year retirement. Nobody retires at 55. It was 62. Now it's what, 65, the average retirement age?
Well, full Social Security is 67 next year.
It's now, okay, it goes up.
So if you retire at 62, you take 25% less.
Right.
But that's the earliest you can retire. A teacher can retire at 54. A state trooper can retire at 50. There are over 200 state troopers getting pensions over $100,000
Yeah,
a
but
year.
a
It's not
state
just the
trooper
teachers.
is a first responder. I mean,
He's not worth a $100,000 pension at
But
age 50.
let's stay on the topic of these
They get away
teachers
with
and
it.
Okay,
their
you wanna
There aren't
talk about
as
the
many. There's
teachers?
a swamp full of teachers. We've got a huge
it's-
thing.
Originally, the full pension was at age 66 in 1970.
That's when it was
Before the Constitutional Convention that Mike Madigan attended, and I believe John Cullerton attended. They were actually elected. They were still in office back then. And then as soon as the guarantee was in the Constitution, the next month, that was December of 1970. In January of 1971, they passed a law lowering the retirement age for teachers. The next
Why in
month.
tarnation, when life expectancy over the years keeps going up, would they do that?
Because they could get away with it. The unions wanted it, and the politicians wanted to keep the unions happy. They did it because they could do it.
So then why would the unions want that?
They want their people out the door early.
They
Why?
wanted to run this thing. Listen, they bought the loyalty of the teachers for years by putting in these fanciful salaries and pensions, and they kept the teachers shut, and they thought their union was doing something good for them. Well, the union has managed to bankrupt every damn thing, and the teachers know they aren't going to get the pensions. They know they're not going to get it.
And even
Young people,
even the salaries. You know what happens in the local school districts, of course. The people making $100,000 are on tenure. They can't get fired. So
Yeah.
who gets laid off when they're over the budget? All the people that were just hired. Everybody with less than 4 years experience. So what they do is they fire the $50,000 a year phys ed teacher, and they keep the $150,000 a year phys ed teacher, who's going to have a pension of over $100,000 a year.
or the driving instructor
Or the
making
driving instructor,
$120,000.
which should be in the private sector anyway. There's no
Yeah,
reason
never
to have
should
that.
have gotten in the
Right.
school.
Well, a lot of kids, though, wouldn't have the opportunity to take driver's ed if it was private
Baloney.
sector.
Sure it is.
Baloney.
It's actually cheaper.
Much cheaper.
I got a question to throw out here. The teachers that retire, do they still pay into the teachers union?
No.
So once they retire, they're done paying dues.
Right.
Yeah, it's a scam, and this thing was all political. They took all of this dues money from the teachers, and which the Beck decision says is illegal. They should give the money back, and we're going to try to set up the system
80%
to
should
get
go
that
back.
money back for
Right.
the teachers. But it's tricky because the Democrats have run this thing. It's very hard to get that money back that the Supreme Court of the United States should be given back to them. But starting next spring, there is an opening where we can get 80% of the dues that they extracted from the teachers, and that dues money they
Extorted.
used, that $132 million a year, they corrupted the whole politics, not only of the pensions and the salaries for the teachers and everybody else. They broke everything. All of the politics of the state of Illinois has been poisoned by the teachers union. They've wrecked everything. There's no way to say how evil these people are. You got to get rid of the teachers union and their stinking influence. They have bought the entire Democratic Party. 95% of the money that they took from the teachers went into the Democrat Party to spoil the politics and make Madigan, I'm not accusing him of a felony, make Madigan the powerful guy that Madigan is and that the Democratic Party is in the state of Illinois. We're the most broke and the most crooked state in the Union. Thank you, Mr. Madigan.
Well, you know what? And you know what? Here in the next couple weeks, there are going to be petitions out to get new school board members. That would be helpful, part of a solution to some of this pension stuff, because you said local school boards. We have about 3 seconds to break.
Yeah, it starts with the school board. That's where the salaries start.